about how this is such a, I don't know if it's the right word, impossible predicament that we need some help to get.
It is an absolutely impossible situation because we have taught ourselves so well that everything that we see reinforces the reality to which we believe we are. So there's no way out of it.
And the fact that everyone else in the world is seeing the same world we're seeing.
Through your volition, yes. Because of why though?
Because we have this common mind and we're all playing the same game here.
Because
No.
we're all fragments.
Now that's an interesting
Of the same
statement.
mind.
Fragments of the same mind, a common mind. Okay, now that's a very nice light way to look at that, because what that says is that refers to what? The Christ mind. Okay, that refers to that aspect of God, okay, of Christ, that is, our minds come together as one. But if it's truly one, how many minds are there?
One.
Who are you?
It.
You're either that one mind, or a world exists with separate minds all coming to that one mind. And that's how real it is. Your will be done on earth and in heaven, as it is in heaven. All power is given unto you in heaven and earth. We don't realize the magnitude of those statements. We choose not to because it's a scary thing.
But it's turned around here, because that will here means our individual, special will, and that's not,
And that's not who you are.
no.
Absolutely right. That's absolutely not who you are. But we're so deep in that what? Seeing that and realizing that, okay, is an impossibility. Because everywhere we look reinforces just that. But the you that's looking, who is the you that's looking?
Christ mind?
No, that's the problem.
No,
Ego.
it's our ego mind.
Yeah.
And our,
Sure you don't, yeah.
The you that's looking is not even the you who you think you are. It's a concept of the you who think you are. It's a concept. I'm a Course in Miracles teacher and a computer guy by day. Okay? It's like, I am this thing, right? And everything that I see reinforces that. What? I come to this place on Monday nights. I go to somewhere else on Tuesday nights, and sometimes somewhere else on Wednesday nights. And I do these things. And what do? I look at this in relationship to what? An idea that I believe that I am. If that is all that I am, what's going to happen? I'm going to keep doing that until what?
You change that
to
belief.
train yourself to be the real one.
Well, until I realize that all the training that I'm doing has the wrong effects, because it only reinforces the reality in which I believe I am. I have to work, I have to have a car to get to these places, I have to have a book, I have to be able to read, I have to be able to see. All of my seeing, everything that I realize that I am, is designed by, and interestingly enough, a false idea of myself.
We convoluted or what?
Yeah,
We're in the opposite
Crazy.
universe.
we are. We are in the opposite universe, and everything we see is the opposite of seeing. Again, who's the self? Who are you? How many people here actually really know who they are? Does anybody here know who they are? Can you absolutely say with certainty, I know absolutely who I am?
Because there's been times in my life where I sometimes like two people, you know. That sounds like schizophrenic, but you know.
It's over here.
I think I'm up to 12.
Yeah, like my own, like my
I know
own
there's a
best
drama
interests,
here.
and then there's this other part of me that's like the shadow or something that, you know, like, you know, screws it up, and, you know, it's just,
And then you yell at yourself and judge yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're changing all the time, aren't you? If nothing else, you're getting old. Okay? It's like we're changing all the time. We're changing the idea that we hold about ourselves, the concept that we hold about ourselves all the time.
But your true self would never change. It's only the concept of who we think we are that's changing.
Yes. Now, here's the kicker. You believe that this is what you are. Otherwise, would you guys be reading the Course in Miracles? Would you be doing any of this?
Well, no, we wouldn't have any need for it.
You wouldn't have a need for it because you're already there. You're already at your true self.
But somehow you believe you have a need for it. And that belief is so real to you, it manifests your reality. It gives you your impetus for everything that you do.
So someday we'll look back at this and laugh. We'll go, yay.
The problem is though, once you learn it, your ego works very hard for you to forget it.
Well, what is the ego?
Yeah.
The ego is
that
what?
defense.
It's the idea that this is even possible.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
which means, boom, it is possible.
Right.
Everything is true by the definition of it. Everything is possible. Okay? This is possible and is. Everything is true in the possibility of it. That's what I meant to say. If it's possible, it's true. The wages of sin are death. We earn this. This is what we get. We work for this. This is what we get. And we do work for this. We are slaves to an idea. We are slaves to an idea of a concept. Yeah,
It's true though,
it
man.
is. We are slaves, and we're going to read this tonight. It's actually going to say, it doesn't say we're going to slaves, but it's a, you know, we are basically slaves to an idea of a concept. We're not even the concept. Because concepts change all the time. Amazing things.
So if this all happened in the past, we've already returned, or never left, why are we remembering it now?
I don't know why. Who, well, here's the question. Who wants to know? Who's asking the question? See, do you see how important that is?
Yeah.
The me that's asking the question is the me that's giving it reality, making it potential,
Yeah.
saying that it's even possible. Yeah,
Why does Christian's ego think so?
there you go, exactly.
No, I want to know the answer.
Why
Why do you think we have to go through this?
I don't think you have to go through this.
By
I'm
asking
quite
the question, you reinforce the concept
Yeah,
that it's
I'm
possible.
quite certain we don't have to go through this. But we do go through this through our own choice. And most of it is all the learning has put us into a state in which we are fearful. We are afraid. We have forgotten that true self. So what we do is we're afraid to let the undoing occur. Now, what's key to this is the beauty of the Course is, Jesus in the Course says, hey, I got something else for you, okay? First thing you need to do, though, is say, well, there's another alternative, okay? We're so afraid, okay? We may be afraid, but our acknowledgement that we are afraid of letting go is light years ahead of the person who gets up in the morning, goes to work, works all day, comes home, has dinner, opens up a beer, sits in front of the TV, and then goes to sleep and starts his day the next day again. Or who drives, has kids so that he can prove that he's actually something and is going to continue himself and everything else. It's light years away from that because why? You've actually asked the question. This is real. What am I doing here? Now, because you asked the question, it has put you into a state of dilemma, huge dilemma, because we don't have an answer. The answer, actually, it's not even that we don't have an answer. The answer could be anything. And we constantly find more and more answers, don't we? We look at Buddhism, we look at Sikhism, we look at Jainism, we look at Hinduism, we look at Catholicism, we look at Christianity, we look at our brothers, we look at this, we look at science, we look at all of this stuff. And it's going on and on and on and on and on, right?
I thought about that driving over here, like how many years have I been,
Yeah. But you ask the question.
Okay.
And it puts you on the path. And that seems to be what the path is. Jesus, of course, says a path from to yourself cannot exist.
That's what we talked about last week.
Yes.
You can't take there's so many paths, how many paths that you can walk down before you finally get the idea. Wherever you go, there you are.
There you are. Now, all paths finally lead you back to yourself. But it takes us a while to do that, and the ego hops in there and gives us a pat on the back every time we make that journey, doesn't it? Okay? It makes us feel good for making the journey. What? Now I know something more. Look at me, I can be a good teacher now. It's like, it just goes on and on and on, right? The silliness of it all. And that's what we do. Okay? So, tonight we are looking at the simple reality of saying, hey, I don't know what I am. I asked the question. Jesus in the Course has provided something else for us. He says, you know what? If you can truly come to the certainty that you don't know the thing that you are, which is an impossibility. It's impossible for anything not to know what it is. But if you truly can come to the certainty and admit that you don't know who you are, and turn your life and will over to another way of looking, you will see differently. And that's going to be the second section that we're going to get into now. I was reading Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda, in his second book. He wrote the first book, which is when he got all his drugs and everything else, and then he actually got afraid and he left. Don Juan, he left. He said, this is too much for me, man. I'm really getting into the drugs too much, and this is just too crazy. Well, now he's back, okay, in the second one. And in it, Don Juan is trying to tell him that his seeing isn't seeing. He's looking, but he's not seeing. Because seeing is entirely different than looking. When I look at you, I may look at your hair, I may look at your glasses, I may look at your clothes, I may look at your body, I may look at your things, or I may look at, what it is you do, how you act, all of those things, right? And then I because of all my learning, I've then formulated an idea of what you are, okay, and whether or not I want to associate with you in that relationship. And if I do, well then I will try to create a concept, an image of what I am and present that to you, which you will inevitably deny, okay? But that's okay. We'll come to some sort of arrangement where we will what? We will compromise and we will bargain until we find what aspect of it is between ourselves that we can actually commiserate with, which ideas that we hold about each other that we can commiserate with, and that will be what we call our relationship. And we do this on varying levels. But that's not seeing. That's all conjecture. That's all looking. That's just looking. Seeing is seeing. It's entirely different. Now, let's just read on. Just like that. Just like that.
What page are you
No, we are at a page that says, in my book we're on page 610. It's called the concept.
Self-concept versus self.
That's it.
In my book, it's 656.
Isn't that amazing? You have more letters in your book than
I don't know what's going on. I have an introduction. You have an introduction? I know some, but don't have an introduction.
No, I don't know that.
That's why.
One question, when that about, I do not know who I am.
Yes.
Is that referencing like, I do not know this
You have one with
convoluted person that I am? Is that what that is?
It's gonna be Roman
Can
numeral
you,
5.
let's read this because this
Okay.
answers that.
Alright,
That's what this is about. And this explains it a lot better than I do.
That's the one.
757. See, it's different in every book.
You got 157?
I have 757.
He's got even more.
He's got even more.
You have more letters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that doesn't mean you need more.
Maybe more spaces, I think.
maybe you have the large print model and it's,
The small.
Yeah, it's a very big intro. in the beginning.
Self versus
and more
self.
pages.
Self-concept versus self.
Oh, you have the ebook? Geez, an ebook, that's even different.
Yes, last week we said you cannot escape from what you are. There is no path that does not lead to Him. Okay, and also we have in there that a journey from yourself does not exist. That was the last page, we read last paragraph we read last week.
Oh, I see my mistake.
Wow. Okay. We're gonna take this slow. Let's see, I got fingerprints all over it. Self-concept versus self. The learning of the world is built upon a concept of the self adjusted to the world's reality. It fits it well. For this is an image. For this, an image is that suits a world of shadows and illusions. Here it walks at home, where what it sees is one with it. The building of a concept of the self is what the learning of the world is for. This is its purpose, that you come without a self and make one as you go along, and by the time you reach maturity, you have perfected it, to meet the world on equal terms, at one with its demands. Now, does that make sense? In terms of the typical human being. I'm born into this world, so I've come without a self. I'm literally this clean slate, right? And in this clean slate, I start learning what I am. And what I am keeps changing as I keep what? Growing older and trying things and doing all these tests and everything else and finding out finally what I am. And that's when I'm mature, quote unquote. Okay? And as soon as I come to maturity, then what I do is I say, well, I know what I am, and I am on equal terms with the world as I perceive it. I now am not only one who just takes from the world or needs the world to support me, I support the world, and we have a relationship. A concept of the self is made by you. It bears no likeness to yourself at all. It is an idol, made to take the place of your reality as Son of God. The concept of the self the world would teach is not the thing that it appears to be, for it is made to serve two purposes, but one of which the mind can recognize. Interesting. It's meant to serve two purposes, but we only recognize one. The first presents the face of innocence, the aspect acted on. It is this face that smiles and charms and even seems to love. It searches for companions, and it looks, at times with pity, on the suffering, and sometimes offers solace. It believes that it is good within an evil world. Those little babies, boy, they're innocent, aren't they? Yeah, right? The clean slate. But weren't we all baby? So weren't we all innocent?
The world made us this way.
That's right. That's right. The world made it
You're a
this way.
victim of circumstance.
But even though the world seems to have made it this way, I still have an idea about myself being innocent. Don't I? I can think of myself as being innocent.
Especially if you get into an argument with someone.
Yeah. Wait, me? What? How could you say that about me?
I'm the innocent one here.
Yeah. This aspect. Wow. Wait, let's see. Is that where I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read it, believes it is good within an evil world? No. I did, all right. This aspect can grow angry, for the world is wicked and unable to provide the love and shelter innocence deserves.
Right.
Yeah.
Very insightful.
And so, this face is often wet with tears at the injustices the world accords to those who would be generous and good. This aspect never makes the first attack, but every day 100 little things make small assaults upon its innocence, provoking it to irritation and at last to open insult and abuse. Well, and that seems to happen. That's a day, isn't it? It's the world in a day. I wake up innocent, and next thing I know, this one cuts me off, this one has a word for me, this one smiles, but you can't really trust that smile.
Must be something behind it.
Yeah, why would they smile at me? You know? The face of innocence, the concept of the self so proudly wears, can tolerate attack in self-defense. For is it not a well-known fact the world deals harshly with defenseless innocence? Yeah. No one who makes a picture of himself omits this face, for he has need of it. The other side he does not want to see. Yet it is here the learning of the world has set its sights, for it is here the world's quote-unquote reality is set. To see to it, the idol lasts. Beneath the face of innocence, there is a lesson that the concept of the self was made to teach. It is a lesson in terrible displacement and a fear so devastating that the face that smiles above it must forever look away, lest it perceive the treachery it hides.
Oof.
Yeah, the lesson teaches this. I am the thing you made of me, and as you look on me, you stand condemned because of what I am. On this conception of the self, the world smiles with approval, for it guarantees the pathways of the world are safely kept, and those who walk on them will not escape. So how are we doing here? So we have the self, right? We have this concept of the self. And there's actually two sides of it, one we don't want to look at. But the one we do want to look at is what? The one that I'm innocent, right? Okay, that's the idea that I hold about myself. And it seems entirely natural that this would be okay with me, right? That I'm this innocent person. God created me, so I must be innocent, right? So why do people keep on attacking me for my innocence? I smile at them, but they don't always smile back. Sometimes they frown. Sometimes they distrust me. And they hold skepticism. They say all these things. And I find myself going down and down. But there's another part that I don't want to necessarily look at. And that is the concept of what is it that needed the face of innocence to present itself? What need have I for innocence? There must be some aspect of me, okay, that I don't want people to know, so what do? I create a self, a concept of innocence. And the innocence that I present to everyone is what I expect them to see. But they're not seeing that. The world isn't seeing that. They're constantly attacking me. And while I'm dealing with that, I am overlooking the idea that I'm the one who determined that I need the face of innocence to begin with. Why?
Because you're guilty.
It must be, what's that?
You're not innocent.
Exactly, because I'm not innocent. Otherwise, what need would I have had to prove my innocence? So I have this other self that I don't want to look at because I prefer to what? To work with the innocent one. It's a lot easier to say I'm innocent and prove everybody else to be guilty for not seeing my innocence, okay, than it is to recognize that I am not so innocent, okay, and then try to what? Get others to like me anyway? Who's gonna like me?
If they knew the real me.
Yeah, who's gonna like me if they knew the real me? So let's go on. Here is the central lesson, and now it gets even deeper. Here is the central lesson that ensures your brother is condemned eternally. Oh, no, that's a jump. Now, how did he get in here? For what you are has now become his sin. For this is no forgiveness possible. No longer does it matter what he does, for your accusing finger points to him, unwavering and deadly in its aim. It points to you as well, but this is kept still deeper in the mist below the face of innocence. And in these shrouded vaults are all his sins and yours preserved and kept in darkness, where they cannot be perceived as errors, which the light would surely show. You can be neither blamed for what you are, nor can you change the things it makes you do. And you are each the symbol of your sins to one another, silently, and yet with ceaseless urgency, condemning still your brother for the hated thing you are. My brother makes me who I am. Here's the thing. I'm innocent. My brother attacks me. He doesn't see my innocence. What am I perceiving?
Guilt.
Well, attack,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I'm holding the thought of attack in my mind. And who am I saying is attacking? My brother. So now what am I doing? I am allowing for the possibility of attack, and I am the one who is recognizing what attack is, projecting it out on him, and saying he is attacking. And he's attacking what? My innocence.
So he's guilty.
So what are we doing? We are embedding in stone, okay, that whole scenario of what? Attack. And I keep having these little fluffs of, but I'm innocent. He's attacking me. He has made me the thing that I am. Now why? Because I am angry because he's attacking me and not seeing my innocence. Now, where is all of my focus?
Externally yourself.
Yeah. And actually it's all a matter, my entire life consists of what? Trying to maintain a concept of myself that I hold. It's got nothing to do, it's something that I made up, which was what? What is innocence? I made up innocence, said I am thus, he didn't agree with me, and I perceived that as an attack. So I what? I in turn recognize his attacking me, which now makes me angry, and I am inferred in attacking him. And that is what my entire reality then is made up of. And not only that, what do I see? Then what do I start doing? I start making arrangements and bargains with all of my reality to find some way of what? Maintaining myself in this whole scenario. Who am I? I am this. This is my life. I am consumed. Actually, I was going to use a really cool word in here that's going to talk about it. Okay, are we ready? So, but this is the concept. This is what I am. Now, so, and yet, where was I? Did I read?
Concepts.
Okay.
Concepts are learned.
Concepts are learned. They are not natural. Okay? So my idea of innocence that I hold about myself is something that I learned. My idea of attack is something that I learned. My idea of guilt is something that I learned. My idea of what I think I am as a computer guy or a Converse in Miracles guy or whatever it is. Okay? All of that is a concept based upon what? Things that I learned. Apart from learning, they do not exist. They are not given, so they must be made. Not one of them is true. And many come from feverish imaginations, hot with hatred and distortions born of fear. What is a concept but a thought to which its maker gives a meaning of its own, right? What is innocence? But something I have given a meaning of its own, of my own, of how I want to be perceived, how what I've learned what innocence is. Concepts maintain the world, but they cannot be used to demonstrate the world is real. For all of them are made within the world, born in its shadow, growing in its ways, and finally, quote unquote, maturing in its thought. Are you ready? They are ideas of idols, painted with the brushes of the world, which cannot make a single picture representing truth. And that's important. They're not even the idols. They're ideas of idols. But we take them to be what? What we are. It's like we are so far removed from what's real, from reality, from even the glimmer of a reality, of truth. That's how far, it's like, that's not even a distant thought to us. That also, to us, is what? What is truth? To us.
Separation.
Well, in relationship to what we're saying now.
Concept.
Created.
It's a concept.
Yeah.
It's something that we create. Truth is true. Anything about truth is false. Anything about truth, any thought I would have about it has to be false. Because truth is true.
And all thoughts are ego.
All thoughts are ego. All thoughts about anything are ego. Okay.
So basically, none of it is the truth.
How could it be? What would be true about it? What's there to be true?
I mean, that's the basic lesson here. None of it's true.
Well, the basic lesson, no, that's not really the basic lesson. In fact, I don't think he's going to say this. The basic lesson is that who's doing this? And do I need to continue doing it?
Can I just ask a question?
Oh, yeah.
We don't just focus on our innocence, because we look at this other side of us probably from time to time, and that's, I think, where we beat ourselves up.
Yes. Or we blame somebody else for the way that we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the world.
Mhm.
That seems to be our reality.
Mhm.
And there's no reality to it at all. How could I possibly know what's in your mind? Okay? All I know what's in my mind is what? My entire mind is it uses the word preoccupied. Preoccupied with maintaining an idea of the concept that I hold about myself. Everything I do in this world serves only the purpose of reinforcing an idea that I'm holding about myself based upon an idol. What's an idol? It's something that I have chosen and decided to be something. But it's not me. An idol is always what? Something else. Something to be attained. Something to come to. All right? So my idea of myself, attaining that, is what idolization is. It's not real. It's not even close to allowing me to see my own reality, but my entire reality is hell-bent on making sure that it works, whatever it is that I'm doing here. Now, that's why the question that you had earlier, okay, about isn't this already over? Jesus, doing this? And any other question, like where did the first one come from? Who thought of this? Why do we think of this? All of these things. The appropriate response to that from someone who is literally taking this is, who wants to know? Who is it in me that wants to know? Because it's one hell of a question, and it's a good question. How did this occur? It's a heck of a question. It's a good question. Did Jesus literally take care of this, and was this over and done with? That's a good question. Why?
That
Gets us to
signifies we're
question.
trying to awaken,
Yes,
yeah.
it makes us, for one thing, at first it says that there's a possibility there's something else. I can
If there's
choose
something wrong
differently.
with all of this, like, why else would we be thinking? And so we're awakening to the idea that, that something's wrong here.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
What is it? Something's wrong here. And not only that, I've been shown that it's already over. I've been shown that somebody's already done this. The whole idea that it even occurred is a big joke. I've been playing on myself. I see all
The
these
fact
things.
that you would question it is,
Well, but the you that's questioning it
is not,
is the concept.
Yeah.
It's the self-concept. It's not the you that is who you are. Now, you knowing that is the great part about it. Because now what am I sitting here at? I'm sitting at, wow, okay, I can either continue this, being this some sort of self-concept, saying that I'm innocent, blaming other people that I don't do my innocence, or even questioning it, saying, because I have an idea that this was already over and done with, okay, but I'm still here doing it. All right, now I can choose. Right now I can say, well, what do I prefer? Do I prefer to keep maintaining this, or do I prefer to check this out and say, well, wait a minute. This is an idea. I said earlier, everything is true by the possibility of it. So I have this in my mind as a possibility, so it must be true. Okay? Do I want to choose that instead? Now, choosing that, I don't know what to choose. And we've been going through this, and we've been saying up for the past couple of chapters that there are really only two choices to make. Okay? The world or truth. Truth, falsity. However you want to put it. Now we're at that crux again, but the reality is, and this is taking it out because it's showing us that all of our basis for choosing, all of our, that idea that we hold about ourselves that we use to make the choice, that's not real either. It's just a concept that we hold about ourselves. And it will only play back to us from the same frame of reference from which it exists.
what you said at the beginning of this is that we don't know what to choose.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that we want to choose the truth, but we don't even know what that looks like.
Right. But at least now we know that choosing is possible and our alternatives have changed. There's only two things to choose between. And then, and even that, as we read a couple weeks ago, is an illusion.
Yeah, I thought there was no choice.
Well, the fact that there is choice, okay, is an illusion. But from the frame of reference that we're coming from, because there is choice and everything is true by the possibility of it, there is choice. So at least we've narrowed down our choices to what? To true, to two. It's either right or wrong. It's either right-minded or wrong-minded.
But we still don't know what that looks like.
And we
really.
still don't know what it looks like.
Yeah,
Because the self that we are using to make the choice
it's a screwed up.
isn't real to begin with. It's just a concept
Yeah.
that we're holding about ourselves based on what we prefer to idolize.
Is that what it means when they said no thought leaves itself? Is that the
Yeah.
thought of no thought leaves itself?
No thought leaves itself,
Yeah, okay.
right? And the important thing to that is, well, it just went away. So I guess it wasn't
So much for that thought.
important.
It loved itself.
Well, no, I know, it's true in truth as it is here. That's an immutable law of the universe. It's an immutable law of life. An idea never leaves its source.
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah. Think about it. An
Then
idea,
all the ideas you've ever had would still be there.
they are. But what are all the ideas you've ever had? Just because you choose to remember some of them and don't choose to remember others, you know,
Mostly
or
the-
recognize them,
We just know the ideas of the world, right?
well,
From your concept.
I
I
mean-
believe an idea doesn't leave its source when you share it. You know, it's still in you.
yes, it is, isn't it?
It's in
Right.
your mind.
Okay, and that was the point of
But
idea
in-
never leaves its source.
Time,
Uh-huh,
we can forget an idea.
but it would seem so. Or you can just choose not to
It's-
remember it. But if that's true, and everything is true by the possibility, then in time, you can choose not to remember who you really are.
What? Say that again? In time?
As he just said, okay, we can choose not to remember ideas that we've had in time. Okay? Well, in time, you can also choose not to remember who you really are.
Mhm.
But we would never want to take responsibility for choosing that. So what do?
Forget about it.
Do anything.
Forget
We
it.
don't do anything yet.
We don't do anything,
No.
we forget about it. It becomes what? A mystery, unsolved. It becomes something that we don't need to go look at. It
Which is
becomes,
how a lot of, I hate this, a lot of people don't wanna even go there.
that's right,
That's, yeah.
yeah, that's too
You-
confusing.
You talk, or they'll ask, like me, but they don't even wanna hear it, and they wanna just out of there.
That's
'Cause They
right.
don't wanna even,
No, they don't.
No.
Now, well, let's read on. Do you see where we are though?
yeah.
Go
What
ahead.
do you mean?
Well, where we are is, we've gone through the whole idea of what? That the self that we believe we are is not who we are. As a matter of fact, it's not even, it's just an idea of an idol that we're holding about ourselves right now that we are using to what? To justify this reality. And there's no way out of it because everything that we're using to justify the reality does just that. It justifies the reality.
Mhm.
So we're caught, okay, in this reciprocal relationship with a false thought.
This whole thing you're reading is lesson 226.
Is it?
Yeah,
I believe it. There's a couple of lessons
Yeah.
in there that are,
that was today.
hang on to that thought,
Yeah.
we'll read it afterwards, okay? So, but that's not who we are. There is a real, true self. Okay? And though we don't know what that true self is, we know that there is a true self. So now we are at least free to choose each moment, what is it that we want to learn or unlearn? Okay, so let's go on. A concept of the self is meaningless, for no one here can see what it is for, and therefore cannot picture what it is. Yet is all learning that the world directs, begun and ended with the single aim of teaching you this concept of yourself, that you will choose to follow this world's laws and never seek to go beyond its roads, nor realize the way you see yourself. Do you catch that?
Mhm.
That's what this world, we will just never go beyond it.
What a setup.
Right, it's a set. Now must the Holy Spirit find a way to help you see this concept of the self must be undone, if any peace of mind is to be given you. Nor can it be unlearned except by lessons aimed to teach that you are something else. For otherwise, you would be asked to make exchange of what you now believe for total loss of self, and greater terror would arise in you. In other words, we really are afraid.
That's the basic fear right there.
Yes, it is.
Well, it's because we don't know what the other thing is, so,
Yeah.
you know, we're not willing to just,
We're afraid we'll lose ourselves. We'll
Right.
just be
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
He said all thoughts are the ego. Well,
Yeah.
what are you without any thoughts?
yeah, we're all
There you go.
insane anyway, so.
It's a scary thing, isn't it? This is, I mean, you're right there. This is I would rather die than literally find out who I am and have to relinquish all of this. Because then what I could do is I could say, well, at least I didn't kill myself, I just died. Okay, which is what everybody does. See? I don't even have to blame myself for this, for hanging on to this, for not looking beyond this. So now I have death. Isn't that cool? That's a nice way out, isn't it? That's an easy way out. If you think about it, in fact, if I do a good enough job of it, people will even think kindly of me after I exit exit stage left. Amazing thing.
And it's always a prettier picture afterwards, isn't
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Where am I? I'm still alive while I'm thinking this, aren't I?
it? Yeah.
I'm still alive while I'm planning for this perceived eventuality. Everything that I am doing, okay, is just for that, so I can exit stage left with everyone applauding.
We're all just actors in this big play.
You should go. Thus are the Holy Spirit's lesson plans arranged in easy steps, that though there be some lack of ease at times and some distress,
Some.
there is no shattering of what was learned. Just a retranslation, that's important, a retranslation of what seems to be the evidence on its behalf. Let us consider then what proof there is that you are what your brother made of you. For even though you do not yet perceive that this is what you think, you surely learned by now that you behave as if it were. Whatever we behave in response to what? What the world tells us we are. So that means that we are believing that what the world is telling us we are is what we are. And we're trying to change their mind, the world's mind, in relationship to what? The idol that I hold about what I want the world to see me as. So I have this self that is on this long path of trying to bring that about. And that's my life.
That's kind of tiring.
It is tiring. And that's why we grow old. Because eventually, we just get tired of doing it.
Well, we learned it all, and now we're trying to unlearn it all.
Well, now we are.
right.
But as far as the human goes, we get tired of doing this. And we realize the futility of it. And finally, we say, you know what? There's got to be a way to get out of this. And the only way we can see out of it is death. But we want to make sure everybody's got a smile on their face when they do it, or they're going to miss us, and they loved us, and everything else. So we then try to structure it so that it works just that way in our mind, so we can die in peace. What a sad thought. If you think about it, it is really a sad thought. Because it never works out. I mean, even if I was wealthy and all my kids are going to fight over my money, who gets what? What about this? Why do I have to wait till you die to get it? All of that stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. All right, so, for even though you do not yet perceive that this is what you think, you surely learn by now that you behave as if it were. Does he react for you? And does he know exactly what would happen? He's talking about your brother now. Can he see your future and ordain before it comes what you should do in every circumstance? He must have made the world as well as you to have such prescience in things to come. And we know what prescience is, right? I looked it up. The ability to foretell the future. Be able to see the future. So, in other words, I believe what my brother says that I am, and then where I'm gonna end up. But the fact of the matter is, how could he actually know that? I never question that. I just accept what he says of me as real. I accept what the world says of me as real. But how could the world know where I'm gonna end up?
So that's where everybody ends up.
Yeah. And finally, that's the only way out. But even that's not a way out if you think about it.
No, but we're starting to try to.
Yeah. All right, let's read on. That you are what your brother made of you seems most unlikely. Even if he did, who gave the face of innocence to you? Is this your contribution? Who is then the you, quote unquote, who made it? And who is deceived by all your goodness and attacks it so? Who is the you that made the face of innocence? Who is the you that's seeing all of this? I realize that we believe it and we work our butts off to try to figure it out and do all these things, but who is the you? Because it's actually the concept of the self that's working their butt off.
You need do nothing.
Yeah, big way. Let us forget the concept's foolishness and merely think of this. There are two parts to what you think yourself to be. If one were generated by your brother, okay, based upon his judgments of you, who was there to make the other? And from whom must something be kept hidden? If the world be evil, there is still no need to hide what you are made of. Who is there to see? And what but is attacked could need defense? Perhaps the reason why this concept must be kept in darkness is that in light, the one who would not think it true is you. Wow. Yeah. And what would happen to the world you see if all its underpinnings were removed? Your concept of the world depends upon this concept of the self. And both would go if either one were ever raised to doubt. The Holy Spirit does not seek to throw you into panic, so he merely asks if just a little question might be raised. There is an alternate about the thing that you must be. You might, for instance, be the thing you chose to have your brother be. This shifts the concept of the self from what is wholly passive and at least makes way for active choice and some acknowledgement that interaction must have entered in. There is some understanding that you chose for both of you, and what he represents has meaning that was given it by you. And it also shows some glimmering of sight into perception's law, that what you see reflects the state of the perceiver's mind. Yet, who was it that did the choosing first? If you are what you chose your brother to be, alternatives were there to choose among, and someone must have first decided on the one to choose and let the other go. What are we saying here?
See the innocence in your brother and then it'll be reflected back to you?
Well, and that's inherent in the statement that what you perceive is what you believe, okay,
Right,
what we said
right.
about the world.
Right.
Okay, yes, and that is a nice way, that's a step out of it. But what we're really saying here is that, what I was talking about earlier, you've now at least come to the certainty that there's a choice,
Oh, right.
that there is another alternative. Because before this, there was no other alternative. not even in this, there was no other alternative. Because this is what? Something that denies itself. A path to yourself cannot exist. It says, believe this course, believe it entirely. And then it says what? There's no reason for it. You give it all the meaning that it has for you.
Yeah.
So what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe that this is a valid thing and you've given it all the meaning that it has for you and your life is going to be this? Or are you going to believe there's no reason for this?
Well, once you figure it out, there is no reason for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then this is where we are. Where we are is that, at least now you know, there's an alternative. The alternative is what? There's no reason for this. Before that, even at this particular frame of reference, we're saying we needed the Course in Miracles to get us out of here. We needed a Jesus Christ to die, okay, on the cross, go through all that stuff, and resurrect, and transmigrate, and come back and stick around with us for 30 or 40 days, and then leave again. And tell everyone to follow me. Be therefore perfect as I am, and also as my Father in heaven is. Greater things will you do than I have done, because what? Because I was already here and did it. Do you see? It's beautiful in the sense that, hey, now you know there is the alternative, and there is no limit to it. The only limit there's going to be to it is what? The one you want to place upon yourself. All power is given unto you in heaven and earth. Does the earth need to change? No. What needs to change? Me. Will the earth change?
When you change?
It's inevitable. Do I need to know what it is that's going to change? Do I need to see it change? Do I need to recognize its change? Do I need to define its change? No. Why? All that does is what?
Reinforces the concept.
Yes, reinforces the self-concept that I am all-powerful. What has all-powerful need to know? Why does something that's all-powerful need to know that it's all-powerful? What is something that's absolutely innocent need to know that it's absolutely innocent? So where did the idea come from that you weren't absolutely innocent? That was the other you that decided that you weren't absolutely innocent and has now been going around in varying degrees of what? Disproving that theorem.
Wrong-mindedness, ego, and fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when does that actually happen? Like the day you're born, do you start thinking, oh, I'm not perfect? Or
The world? Well, what is it that's born? We read a couple weeks ago, you are not born into a world.
that's right, yeah.
But that's what we believe.
Right.
That's the idol that we hold that's created the self that goes through this reality.
Even all of that is like concept that we've created.
Concepts.
All
All. All
Even-
concepts are false.
Yeah.
All
Even,
judgment is false.
even babies are little egos. They are just little egos without constraint.
Well, and what are babies except what?
Well, they're the image that, they support the image we've created.
Absolutely.
Right.
And not only that do they support the image that we created, they also support the image that what? That innocence cannot last.
Right. That's right.
Because as soon as they turn into teenagers, there's no way in hell they're innocent.
Well,
Then,
even
2 years old, they're terrible.
Terrible
yeah,
twos.
you have the terrible twos you gotta
Terrible
go through.
twos. Yeah.
Once they learn the word no.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. All right, let's go on. Are you ready? Although this step has gains, it does not yet approach a basic question. something must have gone before these concepts of the self, and something must have done the learning which gave rise to them. Nor can this be explained by either view. The main advantage of the shifting of this to the second from the first is that you somehow entered in the choice by your decision. See? You have the ability to change your mind.
I think that's the whole thing,
Yes,
is that we have a choice theoretically.
yes. And now we are trying to narrow down the parameters of the choice
Yeah, okay.
to the realization that there is either false or true. Until we come to the realize where, and there's this whole thing there about God takes the last step, which is really sort of a weird thing. God doesn't take steps. Okay? But when does he take it? When you say so. Okay? And when's that going to be? Well, what is it that you say? Truth is true. Boom, the step is taken. But the gain is paid in almost equal loss. For now you stand accused of guilt for what your brother is. And you must share his guilt because you chose it for him in the image of your own. While only he was treacherous before, now must you be condemned along with him. So we finally come to the point where we're letting go of the whole innocence thing. And we're saying, okay, I can sit here and I can attack my brother and feel attacked because I know that I'm innocent. Or I can start saying, you know what, all my ideas about my brother are ideas that I'm projecting upon him just to try to prove to myself that I'm innocent. Sort of silly, isn't it? But because I'm doing this, I'm the one that's having the attack thoughts. So I'm the same as he. The concept of the self has always been the great preoccupation of the world. What's a preoccupation?
Distraction.
Well, no, it's more than that.
No, it's like totally consuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a total consuming action. And everyone believes that he must find the answer to the riddle of himself. Right? That's what this is.
Yeah.
Or just distract himself from the question at all
Which is,
completely.
yeah.
Well, that's what the innocence is.
Which is, no, which is what most people do, they don't even
Yeah.
know.
That's right.
No,
That's the first part of it. That's the first part. And we said earlier, most people never go on the first part. They never go beyond the first part. They never look at the second part, which is what?
yeah, maybe I do have some
What
other
am I
choices.
reading?
There's gotta be
Yeah, I do
another
this
way.
to myself. I'm the one that's the cause of all this along with my brother. My brother isn't attacking me. I'm attacking my brother and proving that by what? And who am I proving it to? To him. So who's attacking who? I'm saying he's an attacker by attacking my innocence, but I'm attacking him in the process of by saying he's the attacker. Wow.
Well, what you're talking about, that the first step there is just to realize that you're not innocent, or creating this innocent self.
Yes, yeah, but it has to be undone because who wants to not be innocent? Anybody here does not want to be innocent? Anybody here does not want to be seen as innocent? It's like in the movie, you know, the Last Temptation of Christ. You know, they're ready to stone. You know, they're stoning the prostitute or stone something. And he picks it up a stone. He says, "Hey, anyone here never sinned? Who's going to throw the first stone?"
You know the joke that I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rock flies and there's a mother.
Not you.
Sorry.
What is it? Mother. Not you.
Yeah. Mother. Mary was,
Very.
Mary never seen this one.
Mary
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right. Okay, so are you ready here? And here's a key sentence. Salvation can be seen as nothing more than the escape from concepts. All concepts are false. All concepts are self-concepts. It does not concern itself with content of the mind, but with the simple statement that it thinks. I think, therefore I am. Amazing. And what can think has choice, and can be shown that different thoughts have different consequences. And so it can learn that everything it thinks reflects the deep confusion that it feels about how it was made and what it is. And vaguely does the concept of the self appear to answer what it does not know. Seek not yourself, your true self, in symbols. There can be no concept that can stand for what you are. What matters it which concept you accept while you perceive a self that interacts with evil and reacts to wicked things? Your concept of yourself will still remain quite meaningless, and you will not perceive that you can interact but with yourself. To see a guilty world is but the sign your learning has been guided by the world, and you behold it as you see yourself. If I see the world as guilty, I am guilty. Who's holding the idea of guilt? I am. The concept of the self embraces all you look upon, and nothing is outside of this perception. If you can be hurt by anything, you see a picture of your secret wishes, nothing more than this. And in your suffering of any kind, you see your own concealed desire to kill.
Oof.
Yeah. You will make many concepts of the self as learning goes along. And we do, don't we? We're constantly re-imaging ourselves. Each one will show the changes in your relationships as your perception of yourself is changed. There will be some confusion every time there is a shift, but be you thankful that the learning of the world is loosening its grasp upon your mind. And be you sure and happy in the confidence that it will go at last and leave your mind at peace. The role of the accuser will appear in many places and in many forms, and each will seem to be accusing you. Yet have no fear, it will not be undone. The world can teach no images of you unless you want to learn them. There will come a time when images have all gone by, and you will see you know not what you are. It is to this unsealed and open mind that truth returns, unhindered and unbound. Where concepts of the self have been laid by, is truth revealed exactly as it is. When every concept has been raised to doubt and question, and been recognized as made on no assumptions that would stand the light, then is the truth left free to enter in its sanctuary, clean and free of guilt. There is no statement that the world is more afraid to hear than this. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
We should all read it together. Yeah? Lauren? Okay. I do not know the thing I am, and therefore do not know what I am doing, where I am, or how to look upon the world or on myself. Take that one to heart.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I do not know the thing I am. I don't know, and therefore do not know what I am doing, where I am, or how to look upon the world or myself. If I don't know who I am, who am I to say what that is, what this is? How do I get? Who am I to say anything about anything that I perceive? But it took a great leap of faith for me to say what?
I do
I
not
do
know.
not know.
I do not know what I am. It took a great leap of faith for me to say that. Because I was quite certain of what I was all the way up to the past 61 years, right?
Uh-huh.
So I've been reading this one and thinking of it differently. You know, because thinking of I do not know what the real me is, but it's really, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who I am.
I don't know what this is, you know.
But you don't, one of the things is, this is real easy to treat this as a negative, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
No, what's positive about it?
That it's okay. I don't know who I am.
Yes!
You're undoing.
The undoing.
I'm doing
I made a different choice. For once in my life, I have decided not to give myself my own name. I've decided not to tell God that I am thus. For once in my life, I've stopped. I've said, hey, I don't need to tell anyone who I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, where I'm from.
So if anybody asks, I don't know.
What? If anybody else, you can say, I don't know. Or you can say, I am
Who wants
as I
to
am.
know?
You're not paying attention.
All right.
Don't get stopped on the way home.
Officer?
He wants to know.
Who are you? Where are you going?
Yeah, they might put me away for evaluation.
That's what I mean.
But that's the interesting thing. See, that's the fear, right? That's it. It's like we'll have an outburst of, who wants to know, and we see the reality of it, but then
The
that
quick
fear
check-in.
comes in. That's right. That quick check-in comes in and says, oh, but it better not be a policeman who's asking.
Yes, but since we're all this far, I don't care if you are distracted temporarily, you're gonna come back to this, because you can't go back.
No, we can't. No,
So now
There's no
you
way.
know, so you can't go back.
that's right.
But you can forget.
You
You have to.
can try to,
Yeah,
but
kinda.
you're gonna wake up one night again and go, oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
That's right. That's what this is actually it's a hook. Okay? I mean, once you start reading it, you're hooked. You're not getting out of it.
Yeah.
Because why?
You might lay it down for a while, but it just,
That's right.
it's there, it doesn't go away.
That's why Jesus says this is a required course.
Yeah, only the time you take it.
Only the time you take it can be
Mhm.
is your choice. Yet in this learning is salvation born, and what you are will tell you of itself. Notice there's a capital what and a capital itself. And what you are will tell you of itself. It's an all-encompassing statement. Okay? It's you are everything. Cool, huh? Did we get this? Was this okay?
That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
right, right?
That's very good.
Yeah.
And that lesson that I read today,
Yes, go for it.
it's interesting. When my home awaits me, I
Which
will
one?
hasten there. It's not lesson 226.
Oh, chicken.
When home awaits me, I will hasten there. If I so choose, I can depart this world entirely. It is not death which makes this possible, but it is change of mind about the purpose of the world. If I believe it has a value as I see it now, so will it remain for me. But if I see no value in the world as I behold it, nothing that I want to keep as mine or search for as a goal, it will depart from me. For I have not sought for illusions to replace the truth. So
Wow.
if we renounce the world,
But you don't even have to renounce the world.
just know that,
Yes.
yeah,
And you said choice in there. You
yes,
used the word
this is
choice.
ironic for me that this was,
Yeah,
and you
it is. It's exactly
like
what this
blowing
says.
my mind here, like, I'm going back looking at this and it's like, this is the same stuff.
It is.
It happens for a reason, right?
I studied this for a really long time, and I was really into it, and then 9/11 happened. And I had put this away, because I just couldn't not see innocence.
Mm.
It rocked me, and so it took me a long time to come back to this.
Mm.
So it's just interesting how far sometimes the world will go to make itself
Yeah.
real. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, so it took me a long time to get back to the idea of everybody's innocent, everybody's,
There is
we're all on
no
the same
innocence.
plane.
Yeah,
No, not everybody. We,
Innocent-
I am.
yeah.
I-
And there's another place where Jesus says, innocence is not of your making.
Right.
That's something that I quote out here. Innocence is not of your making.
Guilt is of our making.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sin is of our making, or the idea of sin.
Okay, the next one's short. You wanna do it?
Yep.
It's only 1.5 pages. But this next one, now, we just went through the whole mind thing. This one lays it out in more of like a new age type thing. People like this next section.
What page? I lost my page.
Recognizing the Spirit, page 14.
Okay, what's that lesson? I lost my page. Okay.
Okay, recognizing the Spirit. You see the flesh or recognize the Spirit. There is no compromise between the two. If one is real, the other must be false. For what is real denies its opposite. There is no choice in vision but this one. What you decide in this determines all you see and think is real and hold as true. On this one choice does all your world depend, for here you have established what you are, as flesh or spirit in your own belief. If you choose flesh, you will never escape the body as your own reality, for you have chosen that you want it so. But choose the Spirit, and all heaven bends to touch your eyes and bless your holy sight, that you may see the world of flesh no more, except to heal and comfort and to bless. So, what is it laying out here, though?
You're still an individual, you're still choosing.
You're still you, but there's really only two choices, right? And it's also laying out something that we said over and over and over again. What is the body?
Separate.
It's a representation of what we perceive ourselves to be,
Right.
what we present to the world as our reality. So really, that's all he's saying here. He's saying the same thing we said before. It's the self-concept that we make about ourselves. We dress a certain way. Why? We dress this up a certain way. Why?
Self-concept.
That's right, because that's the self-confidence, the image that we hold about ourselves in our own mind. You know, why do we comb our hair a certain way? Why do we wear certain clothes? Why do we, work in a certain place? Who is it that we want to be seen with? Where we want to be seen? Why do we drive a certain car? What kind of a house do we live in? All of these things. These are all the images that we hold about ourselves that we use to establish a self-concept. All of it is set in stone in our physical body, in our physical nature. That's where it's set in stone and made immutable. So now, what we're talking about here is not that whether or not you're a body or you are. I mean, you can go through the course and there's tons of times when it says you're not a body. But that's not really the issue. The issue here again comes back to you have a choice. And whatever choice you decide, you align yourself with, that will be your reality. Okay?
It says you can choose spirit, but you'll still have a body.
And you very well may still have a body, but you won't be the body. And that's the difference. It'll have an entirely different meaning for you.
Are you
I never
a
thought I
body?
was a body.
Are you
Huh?
a body
I
with a
never
soul?
thought I was just a body.
Are you sure?
You know,
Why did you just rearrange yourself?
because I have a body.
Because it felt more comfortable, because you preferred to be that way. Why do you wear your hair a certain way? Why do you dress a certain way? These are all the images that we hold about ourselves. So we are concerned with that. That is our concern. That is our reality, as we decide, as we choose. Now, can you recognize spirit and know yourself as spirit and still have a body? For a while, you almost need the body to do that. Why?
Because you're learning.
Yeah. Do you know what spirit is? Does anybody know what spirit is?
No, that's what makes
I do not know the thing I am.
it.
Spirit I am, a holy Son of God. What is spirit? I haven't the foggiest. Why? Because the frame of reference that I'm coming from is that what? I'm this,
Right.
recognizing spirit. Now, the Holy Spirit is what?
The idea
God.
of God.
The idea of
Remember-
God. And how is he manifest in us? What is the answer? We've talked about this before, where the Holy Spirit always has one answer. What is it?
You're the Son of God.
You're the perfect Son of God.
You're the perfect Son of God. And how does it tell you that?
Through experience?
In the-
Yes.
in the holy instant.
In the holy instant. What is the holy instant?
That you're aligning yourself in your holy partnership.
It is but it's a moment in which what? You realize yourself in relationship with your true maker, with your true creator. Okay, but it's experiential. Okay? How is it experiential? Well, because you believe it's a body. You believe you're a body, so you're experiencing something. The true reality of it is what? Nothing to do with the body, because it's spirit. But again, as we just read, we're holding a self-concept of ourself. Whatever the concept that we hold of ourselves, that is our reality. We are free to choose one or the other. But choosing it only makes it real for how long? For as long as you want to keep reading the course, I guess, right? Before you put it on the shelf. Do you see what it is? It's like until that becomes your first choice in every situation, okay, which we read, I think, last week, okay, where you learn to overlook all of the physical reality, the physical laws that are here, until the spirit becomes your first choice in every example, you are still what? Undoing. Undoing what? The self-concept. The concept that I hold about myself. What is it that's being undone? Or how is it being undone? By not placing validity on the world as identifying me as what I am. Is this a gentle process? Yes. What is the process? I don't understand anything that I see. Help. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? To whom? Help. You are perfect as you were created. Wow, that was beautiful. Wow, I am no longer just for an instant. I was not a body, I was an experiential reality. Okay? And then I came back into it and I remembered it through its association with my idea of what I am, my self-concept. But now my self-concept has changed just a little bit, hasn't it? Okay?
Shifts.
It's shifted. And every little shift, with every little shift, what? Comes a greater awareness of what that reality is.
Those are those miracles.
Those are holy instants. Those are the miracles. Those are all those things. That's what it's like each and every moment. You're going to decide for God or man. Each and every moment you have the choice. But you're always choosing between one or the other. Let's read it. I think it's going to read it here about choice. But salvation is undoing. If you choose to see the body, you behold a world of separation, unrelated things, and happenings that make no sense at all. This one appears and disappears in death. That one is doomed to suffering and loss. And no one is exactly as he was an instant previous, nor will he be the same as he is now an instant hence. Who could have trust where so much change is seen? For who is worthy if he be but dust? Salvation is undoing all of this. For constancy arises in the sight of those whose eyes salvation has released from looking at the cost of keeping guilt, because they chose to let it go instead. Salvation does not ask that you behold the Spirit and perceive the body not. Because you can't do that, can you? It merely asks that this should be your choice. For you can see the body without help, but do not understand how to behold a world apart from it. It is your world salvation will undo and let you see another world your eyes could never find.
Wow.
Be not concerned how this could ever be. Wow. Be not concerned how this could ever be. Don't focus on the problem. Don't, because all you're focusing, all you're trying to correct the problem is always correcting it at the level of the problem. You do not understand how what you see arose to meet your sight. For if you did, it would be gone. The veil of ignorance is drawn across the evil and the good, and must be passed that both may disappear, so that perception finds no hiding place. In other words, that ego gets into our good as much as it does our bad.
Mhm.
How is this done? Are you ready? It's not done at all. What could there be within the universe that God created that must still be done? It's sort of funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's worth laughing at. It's sort of like, how is this done? It's not done at all.
There's no question, how could there be more than everything?
There you go.
More to be perfect.
How could there be more than everything? Is it possible there's more than everything?
Everything plus one.
There you go, see? It never ends.
Everything times everything.
The amazing thing is like everything plus one is always more than everything, but everything times one is what?
So,
Say
What's anything
It's
times
just-
one?
itself.
Itself. It's still one. I don't know where that came in. It's just- I know why it came in. Here's why it came in. Are you ready? Only in arrogance could you conceive that you must make the way to heaven plain.
You must make
The way to heaven plain.
I mean,
You're really
Yeah, plan or plane?
Plain.
Oh.
Plain. The means are given you by which to see the world that will replace the one you made. Your will be done. In heaven as on earth, this is forever true. It matters not where you believe you are, nor what you think about yourself must really be. It makes no difference what you look upon, nor what you chose to feel or think or wish. For God himself has said, your will be done. And it is done to you accordingly. You always get what you ask for. What do you want? What will be your choice? You who believe that you can choose to see the Son of God as you would have him be, forget not that no concept of yourself will stand against the truth of what you are. Undoing truth would be impossible. But concepts are not difficult to change. In fact, they change all the time, don't they? One vision, clearly seen, that does not fit the picture as it was perceived before will change the world for eyes that learn to see, because the concept of the self has changed. Are you invulnerable? Then the world is harmless in your sight. Do you forgive? Then the world is forgiving, for you have forgiven it its trespasses, and so it looks on you with eyes that see as yours. Are you a body? So is all the world perceived as treacherous and out to kill. Are you a spirit, deathless, and without the promise of corruption and the stain of sin upon you? So the world is seen as stable, fully worthy of your trust, a happy place to rest in for a while. Where nothing need be feared but only loved. Who is unwelcome to the kind in heart, and what could hurt the truly innocent? Your will be done, you holy child of God. It does not matter if you think you are in heaven or earth or heaven. What your Father wills of you can never change. The truth in you remains as radiant as a star, as pure as light, as innocent as love itself. And you are worthy that your will be done. This is a lovely little section, isn't it? That there is choices and illusions. But everything is a result of your choosing. If you choose for anything at all,
Pretty well contradictory.
well, if you choose anything at all, you have determined that there is choice. That the choice is.
But there is no choice.
No, I said that there is choice is an illusion. I didn't say there wasn't choice.
What?
The you that knows there is no choice is not the concept that you hold of yourself. It is the you that knows not of choice, knows only of life. Is that who you are in truth? Sure. And if I choose to see you that way, which is choice, then I will come to know it as myself. If I choose to see you any other way, that is what I will know as myself. That infers that there is choice. But all of it is what? It's all an illusion. It's all something that I hold about an idea that I hold about myself, and then try to go about proving it through choice. Choices that I make, choices that I make. But it will never, ever change what you are and I am as we were created. In other words, it's a mindless game, an idle game. It's not a mindless game, it's an idle game. It has no real effects.
Just waste time.
Except, yeah, it's just time, that's what it is.
Don't you think there's something odd about it? It says there is no choice, but it all depends on what you choose.
Yes, because why?
Because within the illusion, there's choice.
But there is no choice.
Well, that there is choice is what the illusion is.
Yeah.
So how can it depend on your choice?
Your will be done. If you truly believe in any one thing, absolutely, without question, I don't care what it is. If you truly believe in any one thing with all of your being, absolutely, and absolute means that there's no choice, you're in heaven. Can you do that? At what point, do you say, well, As a matter of fact, as soon as you define anything at all, you're indicating that there's choice. That there's separates. Defining
Yeah,
is
so I
choice.
can say there's no choice, but it all depends on your choice.
Yeah. So, well, and this is why it says salvation is unlearning. It's not learning that there is no choice. It's unlearning the propensity that we have for choice. It's unlearning that inclination that always moves us to that. It's unlearning the idea that there is choice. And that needs to be unlearned because of what we believe we are, the idea that we hold about ourselves. But it cannot be unlearned within the realm of choosing. Okay? We somehow have to step out of that. So the choice is not the lesser of two evils. The choice is to not make the choice. Turn it over. Let it go. What am I? Help. I don't understand the thing that I see. I don't understand what this is about. What purpose does this serve? Okay? As soon as I do that, it seems I'm making a choice to not choose. But in a way, I'm choosing, aren't I? Okay? And that's why that's why the gentle undoing of unlearning that there is a realm of choice. Because when I do that, I am shown there is another way of seeing. The other way of seeing, initially with the holy instant, seems to be experiential, and that's how I remember and recognize that there is a result to my turning it over to the Holy Spirit. Eventually what happens is I realize that that's what I am. And then everything changes. Not because it changes of in and of itself, because why? I've changed. I'm no longer a physical reality trying to do something here. I am now of a spiritual reality.
You're starting to understand who you are.
I see from a different frame of reference. And the frame of reference that I see from is true seeing. It is that essence, that reality in which we all exist as one. And this is found everywhere. It's found in all the great teachings of the world. Even in, like I said, Don Juan. He says, when I look at somebody, if I really see them, all I see is an egg. I just see this egg. And I see these things that come out from here, these like little roots and tentacles that they just sort of come out, and they're sort of spiritual. That's all I see. He sees all man as an egg. So Carl's asking me, he says, well, do you see a difference between the eggs? No, I just see an egg. Are there differences between the eggs? Yes. But it's not that I see them differently. It's just that I know them differently. We're so afraid to let go of this solid, what seems to be solid reality, even though we're told over and over again there's nothing solid about it.
The fear is for me, is relinquishing this separate identity and becoming something that is all.
Yes, and that's the source of all of our seeing right now, that separate identity.
That's the fear.
Because ever since you're in a body, the whole world says to you, be you, be you, be you. You know?
And this is what you are. And it's constantly telling you, be you, but by the way, this is what you are. Don't be you more than this. Otherwise, we're going to see you as arrogant, cut you down to size. You know, that just seems to be the reality. But the Holy Spirit is very gentle in this regard. He says, hey, every time you don't look at that as an investment, you don't hang on to that, you don't grab onto this for your dear life, Every time you trust, and even though it's a heck of a job to trust anything, that because everything's changing all the time, how could you possibly trust? Okay? And because we see everything changing all the time, we believe God is changing all the time. Because that's the frame of reference that we're seeing. That's why it is a leap of faith. Okay? But as soon as we do that, every time we do that, the answer is always the same. Well, phew, lovely. You are loved. You are God's perfect son. Now for you, can I possibly say what that is? No. And would I want to? No. It's the same for me. I know, Jesus says it. He says, there is nothing you cannot do and have not done, because I've already done it. Only you'll do it much greater, because I already did it. There is nothing of you that's not attainable. At all. The only difference between me and you is that you still see it as attainable, and I found attainable. It's the only difference. And you know what? For me, I can say, absolutely, it's real. Can I say I am complete? No, absolutely not. I still have this idea that I'm a body. I'm doing all these things. I'm sitting here in this chair, right? I'm not going to fool myself. But have I found that there is another way of seeing? Yes. Do I see that way all the time? No. Why? Because I'm still unlearning. I still haven't trusted absolutely that there isn't some part of this that I want. I sat down in my family room tonight, because Annie's gone. She's leaving for 2 weeks. She's up to Christine's there. And I was sitting in my family room, and I was looking around, and everything I saw, it just occurred to me, everything that I was looking at was a result of of my decision to be with her for the past 17 years. Everything. And not only that, that's what made me what I am in sitting in this chair, as I was perceiving it. And at what point would I want to get rid of everything that I'm seeing? It's a tough thing, isn't it? You don't want to do it. Do you need to do it? The answer is no. Your doing is not what's required here. We're looking for the undoing. I said this before, any attempt to establish, maintain, or break up a special relationship, and that's no different than any relationship, only leads to further fragmentation. It has to. Why? Because I'm the one that's doing the doing, that's saying how it's supposed to be. And the self that I'm using to say that is what?
The self-concept.
The self-concept that I have made of a consciousness that's been married for 17 years. Do you see?
But it's probably a improved model of your self-concept.
which is really a joke.
New and improved.
New and improved model. Yeah, this is a new and improved model.
It's an undoing version, you know.
Well, at least
You're
it's,
in
at least
version
it's taking,
number.
You're partially
Yeah.
undone.
well, at least the thought occurred to me
Right.
to see that. At least the thought occurred to me to see that.
That's what made it,
I
took it from a
recognize that.
special relationship to a
The
whole
whole
new
relationship. Because then you're just using it differently. You're using it as a form of learning. But that's what we're reading tonight. At least it occurred to me and didn't throw me into a fit of despair.
Right.
It's a mini awakening, it's just a,
And it's another moment in which I can align myself with the truth. Sure. Yeah. And that's what this is about. We're at the, we only have 2 more sections to go through, so we'll finish it up next week. Has it met your expectations? Think about it. the changes that have taken place just going through this are so far beyond what we could possibly recognize right now. Okay? But the thing is, everyone looks at when they complete something that it's done. Okay? This is just the opposite. When you complete it, you're just beginning.
That's what people is lifelong.
Yeah.
Yes,
Eternal.
whatever that
Well, it's the
is.
same, it's the same thing I say in our group. It's people want the, they want the stamp, the certificate, the star. Whatever.
Yeah.
We did it. We another section or another chapter.
Right.
But it's just the self-preservation of the ego. They get that award, that
Mhm.
reinforcement, and that's also why Annie always says, wherever you flip in the book is exactly what you need at the point that you need it.
There you go.
You always get what you need because it's about the experience. It's about coming into this.
Mhm.
It's not about, okay, here we go, and now we're gonna do this part, and now we're gonna do.
And there was something else that we read tonight that I just want to make it, point out, it was that, but choose the Spirit, and all heaven bends to touch your eyes and bless your holy sight, that you may see the world of flesh no more, except to heal and comfort and bless. You become teachers of God. You become as Jesus Christ.
For those that want to hear it. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people
Yeah,
who say,
so-
well, what did you learn, and
Yeah.
where can I start with somebody that knows
One of my
not?
fellows just asked me, did you solve the world's problems?
Yeah,
It's,
but
yeah.
it says,
Well, actually, you did in your mind. right?
Yeah.
it says you see the world that way. It doesn't matter how the world sees you.
Right.
You see the world as only a means to heal and bless. That's the important thing.
I think you see now that everybody's fighting a battle in their mind. Everybody's fighting this.
Yeah.
And just in general, you just start cutting people slack a little bit more. Because it's just like, well, you realize we're all nuts somehow.
Some people are probably just fighting to keep it away, so I don't wanna think about it, kind of thing.
Well, they're the ones that are still caught in that first part of it. I don't want to think about it. Why do I even need to think about
Yeah,
it?
but
Why do I need to
but
think
they're
about it?
fighting with that.
I have a church. I built an entire religion so that I don't have to think about it. And there are tons of religions out there where they say you don't have to think about it. All you have to do is just abide by the rules. That's drinking the Kool-Aid, by the way.
And you'll be saved, yeah.
Yeah, that's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Even in this, you'll think you're safe, and then something will come along and just absolutely
Mm.
It does.
destroy it, and you'll be like,
It
okay, I gotta
changes.
start again, and I
Yeah.
gotta put those blocks back into place.
That's why
And
next
do it
week,
again.
we read, the beginning of this chapter, the name of the chapter is Choose Once Again.
Yeah.
But I would hope, I think, even what are perceived as setbacks are part of the undoing.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, me, I was really studying it, really into it, going to classes, and feeling really good, feeling positive, trying to make good choices. 9/11 came, and I just, in my mind, when I should have picked it up and held on to it more and studied the lessons more, I put it down and went, "There's a hope."
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then it took me again to put the blocks back, and I mean, it could be
But you
anything.
did pick up the book again. so
Yeah, I
that's-
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the,
It could be a job layoff, it could be a death of a
Personal
friend, it could be
tragedy.
anything, tragedy. Put the pieces.
There are so many people that have laid the book down,
Yeah.
because why? What are they doing? They're blaming God.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Basically what they're doing, they're blaming God. Why did, here I am doing this, a little bit of pride there, and what do? You take my son away from me. Or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
I'm gonna put this down, I'm not gonna do this anymore, heck with you. No matter what I do, it doesn't work, right? Yeah. It's an easy way out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it just goes back to your thinking. You're choosing to see a negative aspect to all those things instead of, gee, you took my son away, now he's back in heaven, how wonderful. You know, you can,
Or I had him in the first place.
Or rather,
Right.
remember, all thoughts, good and evil.
Are of this world.
Yeah,
So even the
Yeah.
thoughts of what heaven is,
right,
Okay. It's
Right.
not, there is no death at all. Okay, so nothing can be taken away in that sense. And nothing goes anywhere after something happens to it.
right.
No,
It's
You just-
all part of the self.
it's like a shift. The more you recognize yourself as spirit, the more you realize yourself as spirit, this is what realization is. This is what enlightenment is. Okay? When you know yourself as spirit, is everything changed? Yes. Is it done for everyone? Yes. Why? Because you are what everyone is. Even though they may not seem to recognize it, and I'm doing this objectively, okay? They may not seem to recognize it from the frame of reference that they're coming from. That's got nothing to do with you. You recognize their perfection. Why? Because you are what perfection is. It's not like you're defining it. It's not like you're judging it as being perfect. Your realization is one of a spiritual basis. And you see differently. You see the spiritual basis of everything. You see that spiritual reality, that one reality. And it's true seeing. It's not looking, it's seeing. It's like you just know what it is. Wow. And it becomes greater. And you don't know anything as something separate from yourself. You just don't know anything as something separate from yourself. When you see another, you know that you're in constant communication with everything that is.
And why can't you make someone feel better?
You can.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, well, if you say so, but you can. You literally can.
Send love.
And that's where it starts. Because what is love? Communication. Communication of what? Yes,
Truth, yeah.
of your essential nature. Okay? It's a communication of the truth of you with the truth of that. And in that communication is joy.
Well, there's a certain amount of expectation. too.
And that's the problem.
That's
I was
the
just gonna
problem.
say that. Making someone else feel better is placing an expectation on a scenario that won't work. Because you've already defined someone as not feeling better. Okay, and now you're placing expectations on having it be done. But coming to the realization of that essential nature of yourself, that tacit recognition of that light, I guarantee you, others around you will change. They will feel that light. They may not know where it's coming from, they may not know what it is, okay, but they will experience it. They will inevitably feel better and it will become catching, and it becomes greater and greater and greater. This is why you have communities that build themselves around each other. Why? Because they come into that experience, they come into that one light, okay, that one essence, that spiritual nature, and then everything they are doing then shifts. Okay? And the shift that's made is that they are choosing to experience the nature as opposed to the focusing on the problems that are preventing them from the experience of that nature. And this happens in churches, it happens in schools, it happens, I mean, everything, everywhere. It happens in jobs.
Yeah.
You know, some companies are great to work for. Why are some great to work for and some not? Some are more expansive. They have that energy.
Yeah, love for others.
Yeah. They're founded on a principle that's expansive. And that expansive nature, even in this frame of reference, brings them a little bit greater, a little bit closer to that experience of what they are. Did you ever see somebody that, and I don't mean an environment like this, I mean like out there, I used to coach baseball, and there was a couple that would come to watch their son play baseball. And I gotta tell you, every time they would come, they'd lay out a blanket, they'd bring out a couple, snacks and stuff like that. They would sit and they would just enjoy everything. Every time I talked to them, they were just the sweetest people imaginable. And they never had a criticism. All the other parents are saying, this and that, and they're coming up and they're saying, put my son forth, he should be glad to clean up. Tons of reasons for everything, right? Okay? No, they came just to enjoy. And they enjoy. And every time I would look at them, I would just feel this incredible presence, this incredible light. It just goes, wow, this is great. This is wonderful. It's so nice to see that. And they would sit there and it'd be like, there'd just be this light, just right there. Everybody else is running all around and there's just this one little thing of light. And you find people like that, even in your day-to-day relationships. You just never know. And you never know how the miracles work. I told you last week how that lady ran up to us in the Arboretum, said she had just left the nursing home where everyone was so depressed and on drugs and everything else, and she said, I am so happy that I came here and that I saw you two, because you were laughing and you were looking like you had fun. You were having fun. You were just being fun.
It's another way to look at things.
Yeah, but what she saw was that frame of reference. What she didn't see was what she experienced. Her recognition was not on the experience of the release of everything that was coming about in that moment. Okay, but that's okay. Will that come? Yes, because it came and it happened. This is why I tell you guys all the time. You've all had this experience over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just that what? We attach it to things. We attach it to the couple walking in the Arboretum. We attach it to the one that's laughing. We attach it to the couple at the baseball game. We attach it to the band on the stage at the concert. We attach it to the music. We attach it to the albums. We attach it to the books. To the teachers. And what do? We end up making idols of them. That's why I say I'm no different than you guys. I would never want anybody idolizing me. This is insane. Why? You don't want to be like me. You want to be you. When you are you, I know me. Thank you very much. I have nothing to gain and everything to gain. Nothing to gain by your doing, but everything to gain by your realization of who you are. That's the key. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
This is really a nice night. I enjoyed this night. I can feel the energy flying. I can feel you going on. It was really nice.
Don't attach it to it. Don't attach it to it.
Wow, this is great.
Good.
Yeah. But it's kind of late to be taken quiet.